Hey beer and brew fans, and welcome to Something About Beer. Today's brew day, we're making a New England IPA with those classic hops of Nelson Sauvin, Citra and Mosaic. So let's get into it. It's a little bit cool here in the brewery and the bar this morning, so I've had to revert to putting the log burner on there just to warm it up a little bit whilst the boil kettle gets going and warms me up in the brewery. So I'm filling my kettle with the sparge water here. I'm doing it pretty gently to avoid splashing. I'm making a New England IPA today, as you know. So there's a good process to try and fill the water with the least splashing as possible because of the oxygen ingress. The Lodo folks talk a lot about this, oxygen in your mash water, etc. So every little helps with a New England IPA, of course, to avoid oxidation. So that's the process I'm using for this. Heating up the sparge water. We're at 28 degrees, need to be at about 73 there. That's my strike water temp. Over to the geek table here. I've got my salts and pH meter and all that kind of stuff. Now it's time to weigh out the grain. Along with Marisota and also some Pilsner malt. I think about 2.7 kilos of Pilsner. Marisota about 1.5 kilos. We're going to have about 600 grams of pale wheat. We're also going to have about 1.2 kilos of naked malted oats. And then we're going to have just a small amount of chip malt in there to help head retention and body. So that's the grain bill today. So here's the grist, all nicely ground, exposing all that lovely starch. Time for mashing in. So grist all ground up nicely. Make sure we don't get any dough balls. That will reduce the efficiency, of course. So good to add the grist slowly and stir continuously to ensure we don't get any of those dough balls. You can see I'm putting a bag in here, and this doesn't necessarily need a bag. There is a malt pipe in here, but I have found on occasion that the pump gets clogged when I'm recirculating. So some of the finer grist gets through the bottom mesh plate, or plates should I say, and for me it's just easier to use a bag so that I don't have any of that messing about with clogged pumps, hot wort and all that. So it doesn't have any detrimental effect on my brew day, on my efficiency or anything like that. It's just an extra thing to clean, but I think that's a small price to pay for a clogged pump, which I've had a couple of times, which is a real pain in the backside. So we're mashing. Let's give this 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour, and then see where we go from there. Just taking a minute here while the mash is doing. I've got everything else ready to go, so having a nice hot cup of tea, sat here with my little brew buddy, Oscar. Just having 5 minutes basically. I'm hoping this is going to come out at about 6.2%. It's Mosaic, Citra and Nelson Sauvin hops. So classic sort of New England IPA hops. So I'm really hoping that I get a big old punch of tropical and citrus and some of those gooseberry and wine aromas and flavours coming through. But we'll see. Checking the pH now. We're at 5.19, which is okay. A little bit lower than the recipe suggested it would be. So Yeah, I think it's fine. It's nothing too crazy. So I wonder why that was a bit low though. Anyway, as long as it's in parameters, I'm sure we'll be fine. So the mash is done. It's now time to work on the sparge. So I'm going to let this drain. The good thing about these Brewzillas, certainly the Brewzilla 4 that I have here, is that you have these small feet halfway down the malt pipe, so you can pull it halfway out because it's pretty heavy, and then you let it drain and let it do its thing, and then when you're ready, when most of the wort is drained through, you can then lift it to a higher level. So it's quite handy actually, that. So a pretty rudimentary sparge that I perform, just pouring the hot water on top of the grain. I've got about 8 litres to sparge today, so not a huge amount. You know, I do have a fly sparge setup, but I prefer this, to be honest. It's just easier and more straightforward in terms of, you know, I don't need another pump. I can just pour this over, and it's absolutely fine. It's not a big deal, and I've not seen any efficiency hits actually by doing it this way versus the fly sparge that I have. So yeah, continue to do this. Hop time. So we will have in the well, to start with, we're going to have some Magnum in the boil to bring us a little bit of bitterness. Not a huge amount, but enough. And in fact, we will also have Mosaic, 100 grams of whole cone Mosaic, and 100 grams of Citra whole cone as well. This will be in the Whirlpool, and then we will dry hop with pellet Citra and pellet Nelson Sauvin. Magnum, we need 5 grams, a massive 5 grams, that's all. Well, look at that, first go. That's it. Not a lot. That should bring us about 10 IBU. That's going to go in the boil for 60 minutes. And then, of course, from the Whirlpool hops, we should get another 20, I would say 20 to 25 IBU, giving us about 30 to 35 IBU overall in the beer. We're just coming up to boil now. Don't think we've got an issue with boil over, so we'll let that go for a little while. A massive 5 grams of Magnum. The boil's finished. We're now chilling down to about 80 degrees. And then I'm going to put the Whirlpool hops in and circulate through. Time to put the Whirlpool hops in. Firstly is the Mosaic whole cone. Oh, these smell amazing. I do like a whole cone hop in the Whirlpool. It just gives a more rounded, I feel at least, a more rounded hop flavour, particularly when you combine it with pellet hops in the dry hop. And then we have Citra, again whole cone. Now, I wouldn't usually put 200 grams of whole cone hops. I would usually mix it up a little bit, but this is all I had. So, use it up. Oh, amazing. Whirlpool's finished. We're now chilling. As you see, it's coming down pretty fast, so should be ready to transfer to the fermenter pretty soon. Transferring into the fermenter now. It's smelling really nice. Those whole cone hops have definitely done their job. A lot of aromatics. Hopefully some of them will survive the fermentation. Pitch the yeast. we're all put to bed, ready to ferment. The CO2 from the fermenter comes through this tube here into this keg, which is full of star san, absolutely brimmed to the top. That will then go into the gas post, which will then put pressure in this and then push through the liquid out tube into this bucket. And then once fermentation is finished, or at least when all the liquid is transferred, then I have a cleaned, sanitized and oxygen-free keg to transfer the New England IPA in. Chickens are happy with the spent grain. They love it when I put this in there. So I'm on cleanup now. Brew day is over. The beer is in the fermenter. And it's time to review the brew day stats. So this was my New England IPA number 13 of this particular iteration. What I've been doing over the last 2 years, I guess, is to take the same recipe more or less and then tweak it each time. I settled on my grain bill for this about, I would say, about a year ago. And the grain bill that I have today for my New England IPAs are fine for me. They work for me. I like that. And then what I do is basically play around with the hops, different amounts of hops in the Whirlpool, dry hop, different hop products, that kind of thing. This particular iteration was Nelson Sauvin in the dry hop, as well as Citra in the dry hop. They will be pellets. And then I had Citra and Mosaic whole cone hops in the Whirlpool, with a little bit of Magnum at the beginning there for bittering. So more or less okay. I mean, pH was okay at 5.19, a little lower than the recipe suggested, but still within parameters. That's absolutely fine. Pre-boil gravity was fine at 1058, and that was more or less on target. OG was bang on at 1065, so that's pretty good. Should get a beer of around about 6.2 or 6.3% if the yeast does its thing, which I'm sure it does. It's never let me down before. But the biggest problem I actually had was the volume that I ended up having. I really didn't anticipate the boil-off rate. I've lost probably 4 litres. It's quite a cold day today, so that's definitely going to affect the boil-off rate. But also, of course, whole cone hops just love to suck up that wort. So I probably lost 4 litres in total of the beer. So fermenter volume was about 16 litres roughly. I would about 18 litres. So I would assume I'll get something like 16 litres in the keg. So 3 or 4 litres less than what I anticipated. But you live and learn. And you know, there was no disasters. I've made beer, and I'm sure it will, or hope it will be fine. Now it's time just to relax and chill a little bit with a beer. This is actually my chocolate porter that I made a few months ago, and it's looking pretty good. So I haven't tried it for. Oh yeah, that smells nice. I haven't tried it for a couple of weeks actually, so very much looking forward to this. So thanks for tuning in. If you like what we're doing here at Something About Beer, please subscribe, please give us a like, give us a share. It really does help the channel out a lot. So all that's left to say is until next time, cheers. If you like what we're doing here at Something About Beer, please subscribe. It really does help the channel out a lot. And don't forget to ring that bell so that you're alerted to new content we put out.